172 LLGs that are currently synchronizing the data, which means that they are uploading the data and also doing quality checks and also uploading the data into the database. Then we had 146 LLGs that have already completed their synchronization and just pending or awaiting final checks. On this note, I'd like to take conversation here.
If I may add, Manus completed their census. New Ireland have completed their census. East New Britain have completed their census. West New Britain have completed their census. Autonomous Region of Bougainville have completed their census, and even Central Province too have completed their census. I'd like to congratulate those provinces simply because there was leadership on the ground. So that's where we are. In terms of conclusion, Mr. Speaker, we're looking at around hopefully end of September. A remote state, many of our people.
This census is entirely run under his auspices, number one. Number two, Mibla lo isipik, Yubla ask him, Mibla put him 2.9 million lo support him this war. You people arrived in my province almost 2 months after the census started. So I would like you to withdraw that statement that there is no leadership on the ground in those other provinces. You need to specifically spell out what your people did to make sure that it was carried out successfully in some places and not in others. You know, can go now. Sutim talk nothing na talk also minogad leadership. Please withdraw that statement and explain precisely why it is not working in some places and it's working in others. Don't just generalize, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Governor Civic, you walk law asking ma'am, go straight long and withdraw the statement now. When over him stop, that's all. You ask him straight and manogat. You must ask him here or ask him law. Withdraw the statement. Since you know ask him, ma'am nogat now.
No, sir, please. So, you want bell, Ken. You want bell.
Yeah.
I'm good to ask him, yeah. Because province blue and talk alright, that's all big place blue and bagrapim.
Thank you. I'm honorable members, si Luksabe. Minister say you like asking minister usat when through law siya laga.
Yes, Chair.
Siya walk on, sir. Thank you. Now me asking minister. Sanap na you just browse him just have to call leaders, you know, give me all leader you fail. So this laya and some line no go good too much long and so you can rouse him this
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I didn't say political leadership. I said leadership. So leadership is a broad spectrum of certain areas. So if he wants me to withdraw it because it hurts his feeling, I withdraw that segment. Thank you.
Okay, you may got plan the supplementary na Governor Blong, Southern Highlands, supplementary blue past them.
Supplementary blue, Mr. Speaker. National census, one plalilik something. It's a matter of national importance, and in my view, it cannot be just answered in 5 or 10 minutes question time. So there are a lot of challenges. We are faced with a lot of challenges, a lot of good sides. Sub-national government partnership. I asked the minister to detail a parliamentary statement so we can see where we are. By opposition to, by electoral one or something. Let the minister provide a detailed statement on where we are in terms of this census, the challenges, the successes in some provinces, the sub-national government support. Like in my province, we provided support, funding support. It's an important matter, so let's allow that. Can I ask through you, Mr. Speaker, can you provide a detailed ministerial statement here on where we are? Thank you.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank the good governor from Southern Highlands for his question. Yes, Mr. Speaker, we will provide a detailed report once we conclude the census, and then that report will be tabled in Parliament, and then we can debate it going forward. But if I may add, when 2011 census was concluded, it took approximately 9 months to complete that census. So when we are now in our second month and we are progressing that process, we expect that all leaders, both at the provincial, national level, provides leadership in order for us to conclude this very important event, Mr. Speaker. And as we are progressing through this, we are very confident, Mr. Speaker, that we will complete this event. And now I will provide to this House a very detailed report, even explaining the procurement process that went about to procure the tablets and why we didn't use it in some areas and why we used it in some areas. We'll provide that report for this House, and then we can debate it from there. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Let me allow him last for supplementary, let us ask him. Honourable Member Long, your query?
Thank you, Speaker. My supplementary to the good Minister for Administrative Services relating to the question is twofold. The first question is this, and it's related to his commentary on leadership on the ground. Mr. Speaker, could the good Minister advise the House on what they are doing about the allowances for the very many enumerators who went on foot patrol into the highways and byways, into the mangroves, the bushes, who did all the hard work without tablets, with writing pads and pens, BIC, virus and kilometrics, and burdens on the districts and the provinces to provide that leadership. One allowance, only by making law, looks over by come up law. People blow you me, you said go make him big hard work. No ground. Because the people are still waiting for those allowances as I speak. That's number one question. Number two question, related to the foundation question raised by the good member for Pomio, was relating to the LLG letter written by the Minister for Provincial Local Government Affairs that the LLG elections will have been deferred for the second time or third time this year to first quarter next year, April 2025, because census failed. By implication of that letter, the good minister is alluding that the census has failed. That's why LLG election is Surukim Goken. Because of that, does he agree that the minister is...
Honourable Member, we have a point of order. Honourable Member, Pomio, one point of order, you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Togol sem LLC, the national census failed na. Kapan Surukim go next year? Tok kami mina make it tok. Mitogol sem national census and we go here also na Surukim date. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member Plohiri Koeri.
Indirectly was implied.
Yeah. Actually, good Speaker. If the honourable member would have read the letter before referring to it, the letter he refers to alludes, in fact, insinuates that LLG is going to be moved beyond the powers of Section 299 of the Organic Law on national and local government elections because of the failure of the census. So therefore, Mr. Speaker, can we put to the minister that the census has failed? And because of that failure, LLG elections and the constitutional requirement is going to fail this country again.
Yes, yes.
Honourable Minister.
And I want to thank the good member for Hiri Query for his good question. Firstly, I think when you talk about fail, I think you should ask yourself the question when you fail your VONC motion 5 times.
Honorable Minister, take your seat. Honorable Governor, take your seat. Honorable Minister, you by withdrawing this letter talk of you and here, you go straight. You come straight long answering this question long. Member of he require.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I withdraw that. Just to respond to the question, the first one he was asking about leadership, and then let me be specific here with Central. When Central Provincial Governor and his other members contributed funding to support the census process, he did not contribute any money, and that's information gathered. So if you want to talk about leadership, leadership must come from the leader himself. So before you ask the question, you have to reflect yourself first.
Okay. We got another point over that long you okay, Governor, you can pass.
Mr. Speaker, I'm talking about money now. Me like him clear in display. Point of order, blow me emotion. Government allocate him 200 million. He go to department blow you. Yes. Lo work this la work. Behind you sing out Ken. All get a province, all get a district. Money blow people blow civic 2.9 million. He go lo help him you. Lo work him work blow you. Now workman blow civic. All he kiss him speedboat. He go lo medeng. Lo go pine him all this la paper. He go tap lo hagen. Na carry me go back lo medeng. Put him lo speedboat. Na carry me go lo wiwek. Now you stand up lo here. Now you criticizing people blow civic. Na talk also me blow fail. You did. You said there was no leadership. I had my public servants catch a speedboat to come and pick up those things. Now you bagrab him all public servants blow me. All people blow ECB blow this la floor. What did you do with the 200 million? You talk about. Now you talk me play no putting money. What happened?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to know whose questions am I responding to first? Am I responding to the Hiwi Kwari member or to the member, regional member for...
Honorable Governor, no can talk in Apsia, you give him talk all right. All right. Dongen and point of order. But you answer a question he required. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The leadership on the ground, firstly, is a shared responsibility between the national government and the provincial government. As a result of that, all the administrators were asked to come in, and we signed a memorandum of understanding with all the provinces, delegating the power from Waigani to the provinces, giving them the responsibility to conduct the census in their provinces. We, as a National Statistics Office here, and my ministry just simply provided support from our end. All the funding were given to the provinces. All the responsibility were given to the provinces. The operational running and the administrative running were given to the provinces to conduct the census. We provided, and the funds were given to the provincial finance or provincial treasury to manage the funds. And the reason why National Statistics Office did not were able to pay the allowances on time was because that responsibility was passed to the provinces. With the transfer of the funds, the delegation of power to sign, and all that was given to the provinces to do that, Mr. Speaker. So when we are getting confused here and accusing us, we provided support from this end, and where the provinces failed, we had to use our funds from the trust account to support the provinces to ensure that they completed their census. So, Mr. Speaker, when the allowances were paid 2 weeks ago, I had the opportunity to sit with the finance minister and the finance secretary, because the financial instruction was very specific that that funding was to be managed by Department of Finance, not National Statistics Office. So we sat down with them 2 weeks ago and we asked them if they could move that funding back to the National Statistics Office, because we were coming under criticism over allowances when we had no control over that part of the funding within the financial instructions. So I would like to thank the good minister and the finance secretary for just a couple of days ago transferring that responsibility back to National Statistics Office so we can resolve these issues on the allowance that he's talking about, Mr. Speaker. The tablets, when we engaged the tablets, this is the first time Papua New Guinea has gone into the electronic space. So of course there will be some tedious issues and some challenges, but that's a process that we are working with. We need to migrate into technology space. We can't keep doing pen and paper. But as a country, we understood this. So when we did a plan to ensure that we had the tablets, we had a plan B as well. In the event we were not able to use the tablets, that doesn't mean that we stop. So we ordered the papers as well to ensure that in the event that they couldn't use the tablets, we could use the pen and paper interview as well, so that the process of the census could continue without stopping, Mr. Speaker. So whilst I do appreciate the good questions getting raised, none of these opposition MPs have ever come into my office, to my ministry, sat down with me, asked me how we are going and how they can help, Mr. Speaker. So while you are throwing stones, look back at yourself, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member Blomadang.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to put a question without notice. I'd like to ask a question to the Finance Minister on the same issue concerning if he can answer to Parliament of the 200 million that was announced by the Marape Rosso government that would be funding this census, as the Minister for Administration Services says that generally was classified as failed. If the good minister can confirm from his office, if he can Parliament exactly how much of that 200 million has been released to the department to carry out the census. Thank you.
Honorable Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. This is my first time to stand before the people of this country through this Parliament, and this is my first question to answer. And I'd like to take this time to thank the Prime Minister for giving me this responsibility to serve as the Minister for Finance. Thank you. Coming back to the question Honorable Member has asked, okay, how much we have spent on the budgeted for this, but the figure that we are floating around here, announcing here and there is, through my records, it's only 103 million, not 200 million. And the total that was originally appropriated for the population census in 2024 is 53,900,000. A total of 50 million has been reappropriated in the census, making the current appropriation of 103.9 million. So 100% warrants have been issued to the National Statistics Office from the 103.9 million, the total of 59 has been transferred. The Department of Finance has already a total of 17.7 million has been expended, with a balance of 41.3 million remaining in the trust. The Population Census Trust was created to assist the census payments in the provinces and districts. The payments by finance are done and effectively through the use of electronic transfer using the Bank of Papua New Guinea. The balance of the appropriation, which is 103.9 million, was transferred to the trust account of 59 million. That is 44.9 million was spent by NSO. For example, the large procurement expenses such as maximum enterprises for tablets, etc. Complete list of the payments can be made available very soon. Thank you.
Point of order, Honorable Member.
The good minister is reading a statement, a written response statement. So it is called a plan strategy. Thank you too much.
Honorable Member. Order. Honorable Member, point of order, please. Out of order. Honorable Member Blurbaum.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my question without notice, is for the Attorney General, Minister for Justice, to answer. Mr. Speaker, I believe not long ago, or some time ago, this Parliament passed a constitutional amendment to our court structure, the high court structure in this country, where we approved the Court of Appeals to come between the National Court and above the Supreme Court. I'm just wondering when implementation of this decision would be seen in this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Minister Anthony.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the member for about to ask simple but important question for people of Papua New Guinea. And I want to take this opportunity once again to thank the members of Parliament to make a major constitutional amendment for the High Court restructure. The High Court of Appeal will come into effect shortly. But before we do so, there are a number of enabling legislations that we're preparing it, and we have to pass through this Parliament before the Court of Appeal become operational. And judges and all the team is working on it, and I believe some will come this Parliament sitting if we have time. Some will come next Parliament sitting, and once we get this enabling legislations passed, then it will become operational. Thank you.
The Honourable Deputy Opposition Leader.
Deputy Speaker, my question without notice goes to the good Treasurer. Mr. Speaker, the whole country is aware that we have currency in free fall, the devaluation of the kina. And this has continued to exacerbate the cost of living crisis. Inflation is still high. The average Papua New Guinean cannot afford the price of tin fish and rice. So my question to the good Treasurer is, what is he doing about this devaluation of the kina? When will it stop? And when will he start to effectively tell the people of Papua New Guinea how he is going to reduce inflation? Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to thank the Deputy Opposition Leader for his 2 or 3 pertinent questions. I want to thank him for his good concerns on the issues he's raised based on some very wrong facts. So let me just correct him. He did mention, I'll answer the question, he has been telling this Parliament and the members of and the people of Papua New Guinea that the kina has been in free fall. Mr. Speaker, a lot of his questions I feel are deceitful. A lot of his statements are deceitful because he continues to paint a really wrong picture of how the economy is really going. So I appreciate the opportunity to clarify some of those concerns. On his claim that the kina is in free fall, Mr. Speaker, let me provide the facts to the Parliament this morning. Let's compare the kina to the Australian dollar, where the bulk of our commerce transacts, and value of the kina to the US dollar. And I'll use the starting point as April. And that's a good starting point because that's the time the IMF program started and when there was a controlled depreciation, not devaluation of kina to deal with our foreign exchange issue that he's asked us. So starting from April 2023, Mr. Speaker, the value of the Australian dollar to the kina was 0.4296. That was the exchange rate. As of 1st of September this year, it's dropped to 0.3773 exchange rate. That's a drop of 12.2%, Mr. Speaker. a fall of 12.2%. For the US dollar, at April 2023, the exchange rate was 0.2840, and now nearly 18 or 17 months later, it sits at 0.2568, a drop of 9.6%. So, Mr. Speaker, the kina is not in free fall. Mr. Speaker, the kina is being treated as part of a two-pronged approach to deal with our foreign exchange problem. So I wanted to clear that. What plans have we got to stop depreciation of the kina? Again, Mr. Speaker, it's a good concern, but it's just a wrong question. The kina is not devaluing, Mr. Speaker. The kina is depreciating. Mr. Speaker, there is a difference, and perhaps we could sit back, learn something this morning. Mr. Speaker, the kina, when we talk about a devaluation, Mr. Speaker,
Honourable Treasurer, we have a point of order. Member for Meding, what's your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd just like to, point of order is in relation to the statement made by the good Treasurer. When you devalue something, it loses value. When you depreciate something, it loses value. It's the same. So to avoid any confusion of our people out there, his earlier statement to say devaluation, I know they're in with economic terms, they use them for different meanings. But for ordinary people out there, devaluation and depreciation, meaning losing value. Thank you.
Honourable Member for Meding, I think the Minister is still on his explanation on the question, so I'll allow the Minister to continue.
Speaker, if I could just correct my good friend, the newly welcome back member for Madang. There is a distinct difference between devaluation and depreciation, Mr. Speaker. A devaluation is a formal decision made by the central bank where the value of the kina will sit at a specific exchange rate. The depreciation is a strategy, Mr. Speaker, set by the central bank, supported by government, where the value of the kina will drop and then will increase, Mr. Speaker. That's the point of difference. If we care to listen, Mr. Speaker. So what plans do we have? Mr. Speaker, they've asked a question. They should allow me to try and answer it.
Honourable Treasurer, we have a point of order.
Try to interject.
We have a point of order. Question that I want.
Deputy Speaker, the good Treasurer is chasing his tail. When he's talking about the drop in the value, and he's just using semantics to colour up the definition, the depreciation of the kina, Deputy Speaker, will cause a rise in prices. This is what's affecting Papua New Guineans. So we want to know what he's going to do about it. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Honourable Deputy Opposition Leader, you have asked a question, and I think the Treasurer have already taken that. I think Honourable Opposition members, I would ask you to make your chairs noise a bit down, so let the Treasurer explain to us. This is a very important question, and we would like to see the Treasurer answer this question for the public consumption. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. So, in relation, if I can now try to answer the question, what plans do we have to address the high cost of living? What plans do we have to address our foreign exchange problems, stop the depreciating? Mr. Speaker, can I just say that at this point in time, I want to put the question in context. There has never been any government, 49 years since independence, put forward a plan to deal with our foreign exchange. This government, for the first time, Mr. Speaker, is addressing that. The same as we addressed the debt issues, which was a concern when we took over office, and we responded with a 13-year budget repair plan, endorsed by all of our international partners and endorsed by our bilateral partners. We are doing the same with foreign exchange. So, Mr. Speaker, we have a two-pronged approach. We have a short-term plan and we have a long-term plan. Our short-term plan, Mr. Speaker, is a 50-step pathway that is to be implemented by the central bank and with technical support provided by IMF. I'm happy to go into greater detail on that, and the member wishes to provide me a query on that. I'm prepared to give him a very detailed report. The long-term plan, Mr. Speaker, which we hope to announce shortly after endorsement from both the IMF and World Bank, is one that falls under fiscal reforms or microeconomic reforms, and that is one to grow the economy. So, Mr. Speaker, firstly on our short-term plan, what we're trying to do, Mr. Speaker, is deal with a very simple problem, that has a very complex solution. And that is, when we have the problem that we're facing today, it's a supply and demand issue. It's a supply and demand issue. The problem, Mr. Speaker, today is that we don't have enough supply of foreign exchange to meet demand. So the clear solution is increase supply or reduce demand. Yeah. So in our short-term problem, we're dealing with the demand side, and what we're doing, Mr. Speaker, is we're entering into what's called a crawling peg strategy to depreciate the value of the kina, over a short-term period, Mr. Speaker, so that it will encourage foreign direct investment back into Papua New Guinea. Yeah? The reason, Mr. Speaker, why foreign direct investment does not come into PNG is because there is justified belief that the kina is overvalued compared to a basket of currencies and overvalued to the US dollar. At this time, as I stand here, the assessments by the IMF is that kina is overvalued by around 16%. So if you're an investor wanting to bring your money into Papua New Guinea, if you're an investor wanting to bring your funds into Papua New Guinea and you know that the kina is overvalued by 16%, well, clearly you're going to be reluctant to do that, Mr. Speaker. And we all know if you want to grow our economy, there are two ways. We can grow the economy organically, as we've been doing by increasing our capital budget, and we've done that, 10.3 billion this year compared to the other side at 4.6 when we took over. If you want to transform the size of our economy much faster, Mr. Speaker, you need FDI. We've got that at the moment in the resource sector, yeah, but we want that spread in all of our other sectors, especially agriculture. So what do we need to do, Mr. Speaker? We need to depreciate the value of the kina to what we call a clearance rate, and that's about a 16% depreciation. Once that happens, Mr. Speaker, then we hope, we expect that foreign direct investment will come back in. And Mr. Speaker, there are some positive signs already, if I can share with members of Parliament. There are some positive signs already of increased foreign direct investment coming into PNG. If we look at the amount of monies or US dollars that came in when this program started in Q2 2023, in April 2023, there was about 1.23 billion US dollars coming in for that quarter. If you move it forward to July of this year, that increased to about 1.49, Mr. Speaker, billion US per quarter. That's about a 23% increase in new money coming in to Papua New Guinea. It seems like our program is working, Mr. Speaker. It seems like our program is working. Yeah. And at this point in time, I say it seems like it's working because no one's ever had a plan before, including my good friend that's just about to ask me.
Honorable Minister, we have a point of order. Member for Yali Mupangia, what's your point of order?
We don't want to flowery statement.
True.
Mr. Speaker, is referring to a decrease in the value of China that will bring in more foreign direct investment in the country. Right now, he's saying that over the last quarter or so, brought in several billion US dollars into the country. He has to clarify whether there is a foreign direct investment or it is coming through the loans that we are achieving.
Yeah, exactly.
He should not be misleading the country and this honorable house.
One bullshit
He is specific in his statements because there is, in our view, zero visibility of foreign direct investment in this country very long.
Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Yali Mupangia. I'm seeing that you are trying to debate the statement, and it's a point of order taken that I will ask the Minister continue. And Honorable Minister, we have only 4 minutes for so can you get straight to the point and answer the questions?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to conclude by sharing with the Parliament and our nation some of the cost of living packages we're doing to address some of these problems. But I do appreciate the question that was asked of me. Am I talking about new US dollars coming into the country, or is it loans? He wants a specific answer, so I'll give him a specific answer, Mr. Speaker. The figure that I gave you, 1.23 billion US dollars at Q3 22, excludes foreign loans, and it excludes the intervention of the central bank. You heard me use the figure of 1.23 billion US dollars. If you included the intervention of the central bank, which may include some loans, the figure would be 1.54 billion US dollars. That's in Q3 2023. If you take it all the way up until July of 2024, that figure would have increased to 1.93 billion US dollars, an increase now of 25%, not the 23% figure that I had used. Finally, Mr. Speaker, let me conclude, Mr. Speaker, by saying that with this program of trying to fix our foreign exchange problem, which will have some short-term pain, but some very, very long-term gains, Mr. Speaker, what have we done to try and alleviate or cushion some of the pressures on our people in this country? Can I remind members of this House, in the last 2 years, including this as the 3rd year, we have introduced the largest cost of living budget to assist our people. To date, it's been 1,177 billion kina, Mr. Speaker, that we have supported our people in 2022 and 2023. This year, it's around about 600 million kina. That's the 140 million kina that we had used to pay for project fees that covers over 7,500 families, And as well as that, Mr. Speaker, we had made permanent a reduction in the taxes families paid for their fortnightly wages, making it now permanent that any citizen in our country that earns up to 20,000 kina per year, or 769 kina per fortnight, anyone now that earns over that will save 63 kina a fortnight. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, our question time lapsed. I present one of the report of the Auditor General of Papua New Guinea on the public accounts of Papua New Guinea for the year 2018. Chairman, public accounts.
Move that the Parliament take note of the paper and that the report be referred to the Permanent Parliamentary Committee on Public Accounts.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favour say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Honourable members, pursuant to statutes, I present the report of the Auditor General of Papua New Guinea on the compliance of audit of Namatanai District, District Service Improvement Program, District Support Program, Log Export Development Levy and Public Investment Program for the year 2016 to 2020. Chairman of Public Accounts Committee.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the Parliament take note of the paper and that the report to be referred to the Permanent Parliamentary Committee on Public Accounts.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Honourable members, pursuant to statutes, I present the annual report of the Office of the Public Solicitor for the year 2023. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Parliament take note of the paper and debate be adjourned and made an order of day of a subsequent seating. Mr. Speaker.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Ayes have it. Honourable members, I have to inform the Parliament that Honourable Luta Wenge, MP, provincial member for Morobe, has proposed that a definite matter of public importance be submitted to the Parliament for discussion, namely ongoing unwarranted and violent, unjust, uprooting and inhuman treatment of landowners by corporate giants in the national capital and throughout Papua New Guinea. In accordance with Standing Order 1094, the proposed discussion must be supported by 9 members, including the proposer rising in their places. Yes. In accordance with Standing Order 1095, the proposed discussion is postponed until 3:30 this afternoon. Honourable members, I now suspend Parliament for lunch until 2 p.m. this afternoon.